safety, education, and library services were very important services that they wanted to see provided. And so after hearing all that, we had gone through a task force also with the library. And so what we were hearing citizens say were reflective of what we heard members of that library task force say. And so I tried to model a budget that kind of took into consideration what the citizens were saying that they wanted. And oh, by the way, guess what? Who do we work for? Only people that we work for is the citizens. The only reason that we exist is to serve the citizens of the community that we live in. And so I think it's very important to listen to what the people that you're serving are saying that they want to see in their community.
Okay, I know, I believe it was earlier you were in the, like one of the finalists for county manager position in Alabama, but you, at the end, you turned it down. What were the reasons for?
Well, yeah, let me be clear first. I didn't really turn it down. I withdrew my name from consideration.
Yes, sir.
Because the job had never been offered to me. They had heard of me. I had been down to Jefferson County about twice in the last several years on panel discussions around the council manager form of government and the professional nature of it. They have an organization there that has some real problems. They've had a number of their elected officials who are currently serving prison terms because of graft and corruption in their operation, and this would have been the first county manager's position. But as I went and interviewed for that particular position, I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to go. But as I started into the interviews and started asking questions, I just felt after a day and a half, 2 days of being there, that it wasn't going to be the right fit for me. The challenges, I didn't see how they were going to avoid bankruptcy. They have since gone into bankruptcy. And the challenges would have been very, very enormous challenges. I mean, I would have, if it wasn't for the fact that they would have gone into bankruptcy, it would have been, I think, an opportunity to really transform a problem organization. But I just felt that there was some work that was left to be done here, and I have a great job here.
And we appreciate you staying, sir, because you're doing a great job
as
the county manager. You've accomplished all 7 projects in your strategic plan for the year. Explain some of these projects and what obstacles you had to face.
Well, one of the projects, the Board of County Commissioners establishes a performance plan for me. We call it a management plan.
Yes, sir.
And in that management plan, there are certain things that I say that I'm going to try to accomplish in the course of the year. One of those was to look at creating in our Human Services Agency a special finance division. And so what we did was, and this goes back to the point I was making earlier, doing things in a different way. Each department, social services, health department, had a finance division. And so what we did was that we took from those various departments, mental health, social services, health department, the finance component, and we put them into a centralized service group. And because what we found is that there were some inconsistencies and differences in the way they operated, and we wanted to create a more aligned way of thinking, if you will, around those areas. And that was accomplished. We had a department director to retire, and we said, hey, let's not fill that position, but let's find another way to take these internal services and consolidate them. So we created what's called a shared services agency. It's called Business Support Shared Services Agency, where these departments are having to look at a different way to connect to one another. Information services, human resources, real estate services department, and our human resources department are all comprised in this particular unit. So those are 2 of them. The other was was tough to do, but was maintaining the county's AAA bond rating, which meant that we had to do undertake some efforts relative to how we manage our budget relative to debt. And I was fortunate this year to, one aspect of that was the board was to create a debt service fund, and that's to inbred into the organization, if you will, from the board standpoint, what I call fiscal conservatism, where the board would approve this plan, but we would only issue as much debt as we had capacity based upon the amount of revenue that we had in this fund. Historically, what we have done, Paul, is an agency, school system, community college system, park and recreation system. We go to the voters vote on this debt, and we say, well, we're going to issue $300 million, but we didn't really do the evaluation of what the potential impact of that was going to be on our debt load and on our operations. And so we've done a better job, I think, of analyzing that and through the creation of this fund, and so it forces us to live within our means. And it's a complicated issue to understand and try to explain in just 2 or 3 minutes, but it's put us on I think a proper path of prosperity.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. As a new president for the North Carolina City and County Management Association, what does this election mean to you personally?
Well, primarily it's a professional acknowledgement by my peers of my leadership. We have this is an organization that comprises the managers from the cities and the counties all over the state of North Carolina, and to be selected their president is high praise, and I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity, but grateful that my peers believe in my leadership.
Okay, how important is your family, your wife, to where you're at right now?
I would not. I talk about my mom. My wife's my high school sweetheart. Been married to her almost 40 years in May. Why in the heck she's put up with me for all these years, I'll never know. But she does make a house that we have a home. She makes it very pleasant to come home to. She recognizes the stress and strain that I'm under, and I think she knows me well enough when things might be bothering me. I'm try to be this big macho dude who gives this impression that very little bothers me, but she does know when there are certain things that might affect me, especially if my character or my integrity is being challenged. But my wife and my kids and grandkids make it special. 3 of the 5 grandkids live here in Charlotte, so we see them 2 or 3 times a week, so that makes it very special. And 3 of my 4 children live here in Charlotte, so family is here, and to be very supportive.
How does that make you feel, being as successful as you are, to their family? How do you think that makes them feel?
My kids are I think they're proud of their father. Just as I'm proud of them. I hope that I make them proud. I think that they feel proud that their dad's making a contribution to society more so than they are. More so than the job that I hold. I think it's about what we do for people. It's not so much the job, it's what we do for people.
What advice would you give to a lot of individuals in the community who would like to follow in your footsteps?
A lot of people don't know what it takes. Beyond just the education, it's like, as an example, this morning I have been up since 4:15 this morning. Some of that was downstairs reading until about 5:30. There's a little document that I wanted to read to get up on for my board meeting next week. I think people don't understand the time and commitment that it takes, and the time and commitment that it takes on a daily basis to do this job. Doing shows like this out in the community at forums and during the night, and on the weekends. But I think especially I'd want to send a message to young kids. I want to send a message to young kids that it's cool to stay in school, that it's cool to be smart, and don't allow themselves to be victimized by the critics who might criticize them, those people who want to criticize them for studying and trying to get ahead in life. We ought to be, in this country, absolutely beside ourselves, upset, angry, and mad that almost 50% of our kids, African American kids as an example, are dropping out of high school. 1.3 million kids in this country every year are dropping out of school. Enough kids to populate the 7th largest city in this country. Even in this community, 1/3 of the 8th graders will be projected will not finish with their graduating classes. And so if you got a class of 9,000, and that means 3,000 kids are not going to graduate in 4 years, and more than 50% of those kids are African American, we ought to be mad, upset, and angry about it. And so to those kids, I will say to you that there's a bright tomorrow for them, but they can only achieve the things that they want to achieve in life through what I call learning and labor, through sweat of your brow. It's not going to be given to you. You have to get out there and earn it and work for it. And one way to do that is begin doing all you can to learn all you can and absorb all you can, all the data that you can, and to be successful in life.
We're running short on time, Mr. Jones. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
This has been fun. Time goes fast. I've
Yes,
enjoyed
sir.
it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. If you had one advice you would give to our viewing audience, what would you say?
I would say join us in trying to make this community the best someplace, as Hugh McCall says, to be. This is a great community, and we can make it even greater.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Harry Jones. Thank you for watching the show, and you be encouraged. Thank you.